a treatment for COVID-19. Monoclonal antibodies.
Monoclonal?
What is it? Who can get it? Who can't get it? Do you even want it? That's why we're going to break it down for the new installment of Abby and Sophia Make It Simple. But before we get started, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so you know when we come out with a new content. So, what are monoclonal antibodies? The answer is as complicated as their name. Antibodies are special proteins our bodies make to fight infection. Our body makes them to attack other proteins, which can be on germs like bacteria or viruses, or specific cells of the body. There are all kinds of antibodies. Here's a basic explanation. Our bodies are made of tiny billion tiny cells, too small to see without a microscope. Viruses try to get inside of our cells and then use our cells to make copies of themselves. Sometimes they do it until the cell explodes. But to get this into the cell, they have little pieces on them that are like a little tiny key. Antibodies can fool the viruses into thinking their key found the right lock. It's like if we blindfolded Abby virus to make her chase Sammy the cell. Then we put a doll in her hands and she thinks she got him. We can also pretend that the doll is stuck to her hand so Abby virus can't grab anything else. Then she just drifts along until our body's natural defenses grab her and eat her. Our bodies make their own antibodies. If we get exposed to a germ or something that can cause an allergy, but monoclonal antibodies are made by scientists in a lab. They're made to be very specific so that they can only attack one thing. That way, there are less side effects. Some are made to attack cancer cells, while some are made to attack germs like COVID. There are 2 of those right now. 3! Well, 2 medicines, but one of them has 2 monoclonal antibodies in one. One is called Bamlanivimab and Casirivimab.
Sophia, just call it Bam Bam.
Okay, Bam Bam. And the other is called Casirivimab and Casirivimab.
Sophia, just call it Cassie.
Okay, fine. We're just going to talk about Bam Bam and Cassie together because for us, they're pretty much the same. What else is special about these medications? Well, they have to be given IV. The antibody is a protein that has to go right into the bloodstream. You can't drink it or take it as a pill. It would break down your stomach.
And it wouldn't work.
Another thing that is special about them is that they are available in the USA because of what's called the Emergency Use Authorization,
or EUA.
In America, we have a group called the Food and Drug Administration.
FDA.
Their job is to make sure the food and medicine we buy is safe. For medicines, the process can be long. The EUA is like a rush process for the medicines. If a medication gets an EUA, it means that right now it looks like it will be safe and helpful, and that the normal approval process might take too long to help people. But that normal approval process is still behind the scenes. The EUA is temporary, and it can be revoked. That means they can take it away. So, the medicines are very new and experimental. They're still being studied by scientists, and we don't know much about them. They might work,
but they might not.
They might be safe,
but they might not.
Sometimes medicines that get approved this way don't end up being so as helpful as people thought. So it's really important to do your own research and talk things over with your doctor.
Do they work?
Well, that's hard to say. In experiments, people who took medicines had less viruses in their bodies after a couple weeks, and they were less likely to have to stay in the hospital.
But
exactly conclusive.
So we really don't know?
What are side effects? The side effects are mostly like allergic reactions, which can be mild or sometimes dangerous. People can also get fever or nausea.
Like you have to spit up.
Headaches, swollen throat or tongue, body aches, dizziness, itching or rash, just to name a few. It sounds scary, but in the experiments, only 1 out of every 200 people had those symptoms. Who should get monoclonal antibodies for COVID? Well, with any medicine, we want good effects to outweigh the risk of side effects, since we don't know if these even work. But since they seem to fairly be safe right now, they're only recommended for people who are at high risk to get really sick if they get COVID. There's a list, and we have a link to it in the video description. But high-risk people with diabetes or kidney problems, or people who are really overweight, people that don't have a good immune system, or who are on chemo.
Like Grandpa.
People who are 65.
Like Grandpa.
There are other reasons for people to be in high risk. Make sure to check out all of the information we gather for you down in the description. Who should get monoclonal antibodies for COVID? Well, no kids under 12 can. For one thing, kids under 12 don't usually get very sick from COVID. For another thing, these medicines haven't been studied for kids under 12, so it's not approved for us. Also, it's not for people who have been in the hospital or on oxygen because of COVID. If you need oxygen because of COVID, you might do worse if you get this medicine. Oh, also, you have to have a positive test and have symptoms for less than 10 days.
Does it cost a lot?
Not right now. The government bought a lot of doses. So for now, if you are one of the people who need it, it might be free. Check out with your doctor. Well, I hope we helped answer some questions about Bam Bam and Cassie.
Because this was so long.
Make sure to check out the links in the description for good information from the FDA and NIH. Make sure to hit subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications button so you know when we come out with more content.